Later. Yeah, Natalie and I had an instant bond because I felt like we had so much in common. We both loved fashion. We both loved music. We'd sit there and listen to Dawn play the piano, and I'd sit at her feet, and by the end of Dawn's playing, we'd both be in tears, and then we'd sing together. Oh, and her favorite thing would be a descant. She would sing a descant to the songs that we'd sing. And that was always fun to have somebody to sing
Jim,
with.
demonstrate a descant.
Yeah, please, somebody with a falsetto. And she just had 3 boys, but she had so much girlishness in her that you could tell in her home with all the pink and all the dolls that, you know, hopefully Marlana will be able to have some of those dolls because she's
Stop playing with dolls when I was 10.
It would have been great had she had a female. I felt bad. She had 3 boys, 3 guys that, well, they enjoyed her a lot. And it was always nice to see how the guys treated their mother, which was with utmost respect and love. And that's always important to see from a son to mother. So, just miss her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Valerie?
I am Valerie. I'm almost like her daughter.
Absolutely.
We go back
Indeed.
44 years. I was like 24.
Thanks a lot.
And I married her oldest son, Don. And, you know, before we got married, she helped me. She actually, you know, designed and she had the wedding dress made for me. And over the years, she was really like a grandmother to my 2 daughters. And we would always have such special times together. And, and then she would keep these journals. And she would write, you know, copious notes, being that she was an executive assistant, as they call today, secretary. But, I mean, she just amazed me, and like her meticulous, like I was here the other evening, and I looked at the doll next to the painting. She had the material, she made that doll, and I thought, my gosh, that's just amazing. She had such a talent. And she loved to listen to Dawn play, and she was quite a pianist herself. She could recite poetry, and she had some moments with her own mother that was a little bit difficult. And I shared those moments. We spent so many, it was a very close family. They would get together so often and go out. We'd have relatives coming, or people coming from New York, and I spent time in Mississippi, so I could see. I was spoiled by the staff there. And anyway, we would have just wonderful, you know, with me and my 2 girls. We would come and we'd have dinner together and then visit, and then she'd say, okay, 9 o'clock, I'm going to ring the bell. And we would come down and have breakfast in the dining room. And she had so much fun sharing, we had so much fun sharing those moments.
And then you have,
I don't really feel sad now that she's gone, because I'm in that profession myself. I'm actually caring for a lady who will be 94 in December. And I think my daughter Jennifer, who was behind me,
She is.
she was saying, Mom, you know, Natalie wanted to make it until the house was 100, and can you believe it's 106? And so she had a fight in her and a conviction, and she's sort of like my mom in certain ways. That I just bought a book for my granddaughter, and it's called I Always, Always Want My Way. And it's written for a 3-year-old to enjoy. No, seriously. But I thought, because I was shopping at a swap meet, and I thought, I looked at this book and I thought, I've got to buy this book, which I gave to my granddaughter, who's now 3. But sort of that way, and she was a person that had her ideas and her mind on things, and that was it, and she didn't really waver one way or the other. The only thing is, my own mother is a Democrat. My father was a staunch Republican, and she would always vote to cancel out his vote. And so Don and I discussed it, and we thought, you know what, your mother and my father politically would have made a great couple. And so I didn't really know politically exactly how she stood, but she had her own mind.
Well,
But anyway, I love her, and I had great.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I think it's
What?
really, I want to hear more too. But before we do it, because I got to catch 4 people at a time. And what we'll do is, this is Consuela, this is Miss Aesop, this is Jennifer. These are folks in my mom's last part of her life that made my mom's life much, much easier. And so we've invited them today, and just say if you have anything you want to say about Mom, and your son is here.
Yes.
You remember? And I can't names. But they're wonderful folks. And then so we're going to move on. Did you want to say anything, Jennifer?
I just wanted to say I'm just so glad to be here, and it feels so different to be here without her being alive. But I mean, she's still in my heart, and I still feel her warm spirits, and she just treated me like her own granddaughter. And I tell everybody all the wonderful memories I have had with Natalie, and sorry, I'm a little shy. Like my sister and my mother, she just always put together these wonderful plans for us to visit, and I just remember this little parrot that she had near the door. She was just like, "What can we really
And you are taking that with you, aren't you? Yes, you are taking it with you. Please take it with you. Thank you. And Miss Elizabeth?
I love her. She's part of my family.
Oh, thank you.
I always put her in my heart.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Miss Elizabeth?
My name is Elizabeth. I came to know Natalie because I became a renter. There used to be 3 little apartments in the back. And at some point I took up the violin again. I had played it when I was a kid, and then I became a teenager, and I said, so I came to her and asked if I could borrow the piano so I could tape an accompaniment, so I could play and listen. And she graciously offered herself as my company.
Oh.
And for those of you who ever got to witness her playing, she was amazing. She could pick up a piece of music she hadn't seen before, Handel, Bach, Mozart, and play it just straight out. And so that was like an amazing gift. She said we were partners in musical crime. But we did. I mean, because of her, I got to a level of playing that was really quite satisfying and wonderful to experience. And this last time she was in the hospital, I think November, December, about a year ago, which is where we met. I was so just devastated to see her so helpless and so weak that I visited the hospital every day. I can't stand hospitals, but I figured out how to park and get there, and I was there every day. And then from there, the nursing home, and it just became part of my life. So I had the privilege and the pleasure of spending just about every day keeping her company, entertaining her, being entertained by her, and she was sort of my local mother. And my mother passed away a few years ago, and so I want to say to the boys, I really appreciate so much what good care you took of her. You supplied these wonderful people to be there every day. You made sure that she was as comfortable as possible. You kept her at home. I just thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hi, right back it is. Sneaking up on you. Right
Yeah.
An adopted son and adopted brother.
Yeah.
I had the honor of occasionally being referred to as number 4, that I took with great honor. I originally met Charles back in 1981 or 82 when he was doing work with the United Nations Association. I was going to UCLA. He invited me over to the house for a very strong gin and tonic, followed by, well, since we're here, why don't we go down to the Golden Bull? Had a lovely meal, and Charles and I, that would be a ritual, a couple times a month, followed by, always asking, well, is there anyone else who lives in the house here with you? Well, my wife, but she's very private. And it wasn't for a couple of years that I came to meet Natalie, get to know her. She was very private and reserved and observant, and she became a very, very dear friend. I think you can't describe, I think some of you have described how remarkable that woman was, how incredibly intelligent, brilliant, her wit was beyond. I've never seen a wit of somebody so clever and so quick, so strong, so opinionated, as you would say. We would, one time I asked her, I said, Natalie, what do you do for exercise? Oh my goodness gracious, I'm exhausted all the time. All of those conclusions I jump to all the time. I just too much. I'm exhausted all the time. All those conclusions I jump to. And she had an opinion on everything and very passionate. I've had so many wonderful meals in the dining room, full silver, candles going. It was like her salon. And we'd come down for breakfast and sit there for hours. Charles would hold court the front chair. Sometimes we'd have an appearance by Madeline Gladley. If you haven't met Madeline Gladley, two very important individuals in her life who are on the bed back there. And I do have to acknowledge a few people, Elizabeth and Angel, being by her side. The boys, each one of you has been so amazing to her. You set an example for me with my parents. And also I want to acknowledge Consuela, what a rock over the years. If you want to know anything about Natalie, just ask Consuela. She's got the whole story here.
All the secrets.
But I have to tell you, I'm just so blessed to be here. And I'm with you, Valerie. I think this is a celebration right now because, she would have wanted us to be here having fun, not moaning and groaning over the loss of her. She'd want this to be a party. And I can see her at that piano banging up a storm. And I just, the thing I'm gonna really miss is just having her in the home. Because I drove by the other night when you guys weren't here, and I just had this moment, looking at the house, it just glows.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
And next we have Amy
These would
Bullock.
be,
So these are Madeline Gladley.
Oh, Madeline Gladley. Right there.
I called them bars for a long time from some Western movie I saw where the guy shot me a bar. And I still don't know which one is Madeline Gladley, but Mommy Dearest certainly does.
And she would dress them up as characters in the
all
news.
sorts of things, berets, with
Yeah,
shoes
French.
cut out. They had bikers, they would dress up as thugs for a while.
Menendez brothers.
And they go with Mommy Dearest, and we'll go with Mommy Dearest.
Absolutely.
And my dad, who's absolutely disparaging of anything like this by men, women, children, or elderly, said on the order of a quarter century ago. On the order of 1990, or even earlier. I would throw those bears away if they weren't so damn cute.
Another person who can divulge secrets and who has been coming to this house since 19 is Miss Amy Bullicus. She is my #1 sweetheart, girlfriend, lover for life from the first grade, and I'll never forget her and her wonderful dad who played hours of chess with my dad. This is Miss Amy Bullicus, and she would go on for 20 years because you have so many experiences here.
I do, and I just, like Roberto, as I call him, says, we're early elementary, and we had a lot of adventures together, and I just know every time I came over here, Natalie was always very warm and welcome, and I felt right at home.
Thank you.
Right.
And Don, we can introduce other folks. My eyesight isn't that good over there. I think that's Marty. There- Oh no! Wait, no, we forgot. Everybody, talk. This is Don. Can you step forward a second? Okay. My dad kind of was a little loyal to a restaurant by the name of the Golden Bull. Enjoyed,
slightly, yeah.
starting in 1933. Not saying you were there in 1933. This is Don, and I'll have him continue on, and because he's had many experiences.
Yeah, my name's Don, and I had the Golden Bull restaurant down at the bottom of the hill. And I did know Charles before Natalie, in which I was always intrigued because one of the sons, he always wore a bow tie. And I would always, he never was without a bow tie. And I look at some of the pictures around here and he didn't have bow ties on then, so it must have been something in later life that he picked up.
That was my dad.
Yeah, he would come in 2 or 3 times a week with different people. And then I never knew Natalie, then I eventually met Natalie and she came in and I sometimes felt like her secret boyfriend.
Sometimes you were.
Well, when she would come in, I was always intrigued because she always wore something special. She always had gloves on and